Hi guys, so last night I noticed that my key was spinning in the ignition hole. I was in a bit of a rush and I put the key in about halfway and then it started spinning. That's one of the safety features of BMW. It stops someone from just putting a screwdriver in there trying to turn the ignition over. And so then I noticed that I only had it in halfway and I put it in the full way and I tried it again and you know, you can see by that it's just not turning on the engine. See? I'll just turn that over. Yep, it's not turning on the engine. And so this is the way to fix that. I really needed a car today, and I realized what I could do is I could just put the key in there, and then I could take the ignition out and then spin it with a screwdriver. And the key has to be in here because any BMW car past the year of 1996, they have a chip in the key, and the chip has to be read by this this outer circle part here. Otherwise, the car won't start. It immobilizes the car. So you have to put the key in there so it reads the chip, and then you take the ignition out, which you can see if you take the cover off. It's just here, and undo the screws. And to undo the screws, you just get your screwdriver, and I'll just pop the ignition back in for now. And you can see the two screws. There's one here and there's one here. If this hasn't been done before, there'll be this red putty over the screws. So that easily just comes off to expose the screws. And I don't recommend to take the screws out because you just undo them a little bit of the way and you should be able to slot the ignition out just like so. And you'll see and I was like, okay, I'll just stick a screwdriver in there, I can turn it over. As long as the key's in the car, in the ignition hole, then it should read the chip and I should be good to go. And that is the case. In fact, I can demonstrate that right now. And so this is what you can do if you're absolutely in a rush. You can just put the key in the car so it reads the chip, and then you can put, sorry, it's hard to do this with one hand. You can put this in there, turn the car, you can hear that it turned off. So that's one of the things you can do, as long as it reads the chip. But then I looked over here and I saw the ignition pin, and the ignition slot's in there, right, and the ignition pin goes into it. But what I noticed about the ignition pin is that it was turned the opposite way, so it wouldn't fit in those grooves. I mean, even if it didn't fit in those grooves, you can still put the ignition in. But when you go to turn the key, the ignition pin, it comes out and it goes in. That's how it turns the ignition, right? So yeah, I noticed that it was turned the other way. So what I had to do was, had to get just a pair of pliers. What you do is you just hold on to that and you turn it. But I won't do that right now since I've fixed it. And then you turn it until you can see that it will fit into the ignition hole when you slot the ignition back in. And so just make sure that pin's facing the right way, because that could be the problem with your car, rather than trying to buy parts which you don't need. So I'm just going to tighten that, put the ignition back in properly. Just give me a second here. And now that the ignition pin is facing the right way, it should slot in the ignition fine, and when you turn the key, it should start the car, which it has done. So that could be one of the problems if your key's spinning, or if it's not turning on the car. The ignition pin might not be going in the ignition. So just take the cover off, take the ignition out, make sure the pin is facing the right way so it will go in the grooves of the ignition, so your car will start. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful, and